I'm Alex Hirsch, the voice of Grunkle Stan.
I'm Jason Ritter, the voice of Dipper.
And I'm Kristen Schaal, the voice of Mabel.
That's her real voice, guys.
That's my
Like when she's
real
not
voice.
on, quote unquote.
Nobody wants to hear this.
Last Mabelcorn. Oh, just thinking about this episode gives me some traumatic flashbacks.
Why?
Well, so C4 there sleeping on his couch. That's basically me in my office. At this
Yes.
point in the season, we were very late into the season, and there was an episode that we were working on that we could not for the life of us crack. It was going to be an episode about Wendy. That was like I always wanted to do a Wendy episode. I think she's a great character, and I felt that like it would be a crime to end the series without an episode all about her. And so we tried to come up with one, and there was an outline, and it was about her sort of relationship with her family and her insane lumberjack dad. But
Oh my gosh.
it involved her at some point getting weather controlling powers. Because we needed magic, we needed something that was like a connection to the magic of the world. And somehow that was the thing that we wound up with, and it didn't work. It felt too crazy, and also Frozen had just come
That
out.
sounds like an X-Men episode.
Yeah,
Or
it didn't feel because Wendy's a really grounded character, and so it's sort of like it's something we kind of come up with in the room, and then when the script came back, it was through no fault of the writer, it wasn't working, and we were really behind, and I realized I had a choice, which is we could either produce this episode that really didn't seem in character for Wendy, or I could write a new episode in 2 days.
Oh my gosh.
And so, The Last Mabelcorn was born.
Really?
Yes.
Whoa.
That's why I'm the only writer credited on this episode. The other thing that was happening at this point in the series was we were planning the finale of the show, which we knew was going to be this giant apocalypse. And so I had a few different concerns. One concern was this Wendy episode's not working. Another concern is we have a giant apocalypse coming up that we really haven't set up in any meaningful way. And my other concern just being like we hadn't really done any Mabel episodes in a while at this point in the series, and she's supposed to be our co-lead. And so
Co?
Yeah, I would say.
it's an argument to say who's the lead. And so I kind of had that was my checklist of things that needed to be accomplished. And I had 48 hours. So I was as a kid I remember seeing the movie The Last Unicorn.
Yeah.
Very not very well known, like weird Rankin
I've never
Bass
seen it.
I watched it
animated
after
movie.
this.
It's like Mia Farrow plays the world's most entitled, stuck-up, arrogant unicorn. She's just awful. In this movie, and Jeff Bridges plays this like dopey prince, and he sings a song. It's an objectively
It's very
terrible
weird.
movie. I love it. I have so much nostalgia for it. But it always was really funny to me, this depiction of a unicorn who like she meets up with this wizard who's trying to help her find the other unicorns, and every time he helps her, she's like, "How dare you! You've screwed up the spell! Nay, nay!" And she's just so awful. It was really funny to me, the idea of a unicorn who is just a colossal pain.
But she's not supposed to be awful, right?
I don't
That's just
think
a
so.
mistake.
I think the tone of the movie, she's supposed to be like regal and lovable, but like at one point she's about to get killed by this giant monster, and the wizard, who's just sort of this like, I think his name is Schmendrick. He's like, he's got kind of this Woody Allen wizard. He's like, I'm gonna do what I can with my magic, and he turns her into a human. And he saves her, and she doesn't thank him. She's like, I feel my body dying inside this human form. Like she's just has no gratitude for anybody. And you gradually hate her more and more over the course of the movie. So I had always thought it would be funny if Mabel meets a unicorn who's as awful as the unicorn for The Last Unicorn. And at some point she punches the unicorn in the face. That was pretty much, that was sort of where I started with this episode. And then I also wanted to tee up the apocalypse.
Yes.
So that's where that cold open comes from, and that's where this plot with Dipper and Ford, where Ford in this episode is setting up a few important plot points. He's setting up the metal plate in his head, which is the reason that he can't trick Bill into entering his mind in the finale. He's setting up Weird Mageddon and what it means and what it's going to look like. We're setting up that Bill wants to smash that orb. So it ultimately ended up all working out. I'm really actually glad that I made this change late in the game because it set up a lot of really important things. But that's just sort of in TV writing, like you're moving quickly and things are changing, and you're always sort of you're saying, here's our plan, and then you're checking in on it and saying like, did it work? Because you have your idea of how something's going to turn out, but you don't know until you see those first drafts, second draft, third draft, and you're always hoping like we can make it work. And this was something where I just had to I was kind of running on empty, but I'm like, all right, pulling an episode out of my pocket. Here it is, guys. Last Mabelcorn. And all that said, it's a miracle that it came out fun and funny, pretty good.
Yeah.
I got to give a shout out to our art director Ian Worrell did an amazing job of this.
Yeah.
It is the Mystery Shack is already full of so many spooky and creepy locations, and he
was
never
the memory
fails to
eraser.
come up with another great one.
Oh, how did you get J.K. Simmons?
J.K. Simmons he was right around that. This was right before he won the Oscar for Whiplash, and he was like kind of doing in the middle of all that buzz.
Anything he could do.
Well, I was like, he was so good, and we knew he would be perfect, and I would say like he's the most I've ever been impressed with, just a sight unseen. Like he comes in like at 7 a.m. He picks up a script he's never looked at. There's massive monologues and just like one take, no flubs, immediately gets it. Like he's such a pro. It's sort of mind blowing to work with.
Yeah, he sounds really amazing.
Unlike some people.
I mean, I work better at 5 a.m. myself.
I love that Grenda has her moment to shine here.
Yeah.
We also wanted to, this was something that I noticed that we hadn't seen, just Mabel and her female
Girlfriend.
friends together in a while. And also, because we had wanted to do a Wendy episode, but we couldn't crack it, I wanted Wendy to be an important part of this episode. I like the idea that a third of the way through, Wendy sort of takes over and is just like, all right, we're doing a Wendy story now. I'm just going to get fairy dust by hook or crook. I don't care about morals and rules. And this unicorn was voiced
What
by...
van did you see? Oh, yeah, sorry.
Have you never seen a van with a unicorn airbrushed on the side of it?
I mean, I laughed instantly, but...
Because I definitely have. This unicorn is voiced by Sam Marin, who does like half the characters on regular show. He was a classmate of mine at Cal Arts. He's a really talented animator, and he's also really good at voices. And I knew that he had a fancy lady in him.
Last of my kind. Come in. Just take off your shoes. I have a whole thing about shoes. I'm talking to all of you.
Celestabella Bethabel, we have journeyed far and wide
About an hour!
on a mission to protect our family with your magical hair. This is your chance.
Kristen, when you were Mabel's age, how much were you like Mabel?
Oh, so much like her. I was a lot like Mabel. I would say 90%. I had braces. I had boy crushes.
What was your opinion on unicorns at Mabel's age?
Oh, I loved them. I had My Little Ponies.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
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 Like the original run. My sister has all of them
Uh-huh.
from like the same time. Like
My sister had My Little Ponies
Yeah.
too.
it
They're-
was.
I was more of a Care Bears guy myself.
Ooh, who is your favorite Care Bear?
Well, I like the little sort of turquoise like cub one.
Oh, you like the Care Bear? Oh yeah.
And then I also really like the raccoon one from
Wait,
like the Care
what
Bear
are you
Care Bear
Friends.
Cousins.
Talking
yeah.
about.
I got major memory. Well, see, that's one of the things about being a twin is like. I saw lots of My Little Pony growing
Yeah.
up, and because like we would just like watch them together, and every other movie she got to pick, I got to pick.
Yeah.
But so like I have very nostalgic memories of Care Bears, of My Little Pony. Like I remember Hugs and Tugs were two twin
Hugs
Care
and
Bears.
Tugs.
There was a pink
Tugs.
one and a blue one.
Tugs was the one.
And me
that
and
I
my
liked.
sister's like, it's us. We're twins, boy and a girl, Hugs and Tugs. Like,
That's so funny. Tugs is my favorite.
yeah, Tugs is a pretty great Care Bear, guys.
Oh my
Oh,
god,
that poor
that's
bird.
so
That
sweet.
poor
Big
bird.
fan of Tugs, guys. Or was it Hugs? I'm
Guys,
not
they
entirely-
solved their problems by caring so much. It's beautiful. We need a little bit more of that. too.
Sincerity was cool, and then the 90s it was lame,
Yeah,
and it's
exactly.
like kind of coming around again.
Yeah.
Look at this. Read it. Read it all.
I
Read
think,
it all. Pause it and read it all.
I think our writer Jeff Rowe wrote whatever nonsense is on that scroll. And Andy Gonzalez, who illustrated most of the journal pages, he did that. Like his version of like a spooky Mad Folden, did a great job.
That was cool. With a little code in the middle there with that secret language.
So there's this dialogue we changed a lot because there's so much setup happening here, and it's when you've got a lot of moving pieces. Like those lines that describe like plot setup are the ones that end up like you are adjusting them until the last second to make sure they work.
Yeah.
Is that a code on the screen?
I'd
Probably.
be shocked if it wasn't, but I don't remember. It's been so long. To anyone watching, I offer you to freeze frame and look at Dipper's thoughts. They're exactly what you
I
imagine
miss
they would be.
Tyrone.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're great. Wendy.
I think there's something about his fly being down because I remember when I was 12,
Oh, gosh.
constantly was just like, barn door is open. Like We almost did a Dipper's Guide too, where his fly is always down, and he's like, he thinks there's a supernatural cause. He thinks a ghost is doing this to him. He's like, I can't just be that clueless all the time. I like Mabel suffocating Stan. Got to give Emmy Sierra, one of our storyboard artists, really funny. Did maybe 100 more gags there that we didn't have time for, but we would often give her these funny sequences.
I
She
feel
did
like
such a
I
great
saw
job.
some animatic of some of that stuff
Yeah,
online
I think
somewhere.
she put them online.
Is that even possible? Mabel's a straight-up saint, you judgmental hoofbag.
Yeah, you tell her, Wendy.
Doing good deeds to make yourself look better isn't good at all. Not to mention you're crushing like 10 dandelions right now. Those are basically children. Mabel, it's not my fault you're a bad person.
Yeah, the guilt tripping, really laying it on thick.
Yeah.
We knew that Mabel would really break her.
Yeah.
This drawing,
I love that.
That is so weird.
that was every now and then, like, I'll do notes on the storyboards, and usually I'm not a great artist, and usually those drawings will be like cleaned up and made much better by the artist. But this is one where it made everyone laugh so hard how bad my unicorn drawing was. Then we were like, can we try to preserve a unicorn that looks like it was drawn by somebody who can't draw?
That is so funny.
It made us laugh because it was dumb. My buddy Penn, who created Adventure Time, something he told me when we were like just coming up in animation was try to make the smartest thing you can, and if it's not good, then try to make the dumbest thing you can. And I think about that advice a lot.
Interesting.
Mabel's not going to like that. Mabel doesn't need to know.
So this
That's
is
a
where
rad shirt,
Wendy
Wendy,
takes
by the
over.
way.
Yeah, well, I wanted to see her, see a little bit more Wendy in this episode, and Linda, of course, does a fantastic job.
And we take what we want.
Ouch.
I would want Grenda on my side in any heist. So this upcoming scene is maybe the most surprised I've ever been to see something be allowed to be on the show.
Flagon of your daintiest honeysuckle, please.
I'm gonna need to see some ID.
Oh, the cops! Hit the deck!
I'm looking for someone who knows how to take down a unicorn. No tricks or games.
We are human. We take what we want.
Yeah! Fairy dust. A whole magic bag's enough to put a unicorn out cold. But if I do you a favor, you gotta do something for me. Just spill it, half-pint! Butterfly trafficking is illegal in this part of the forest.
That's Sam Marin still doing the voice, doing another voice. He's got a great range.
Bring me a bag of butterflies and we got a deal.
I never knew that. Same voice as Celeste Beth the Bell.
Yeah,
Celeste
and that
Beth the
guy.
Bell.
Rest in peace, Schmebulok Sr.
Who you met briefly
Who we
in,
met briefly
yeah.
in.
2 bags of fairy dust, just like we agreed. Where do you get this stuff? Everyone likes sausage, but no one likes to know how it's made. You disgust me!
So does that mean that fairy dust is ground up fairies?
I couldn't say.
Oh, yeah.
Look to the right, the deer with the police siren on
I
its
love
head.
that.
That was my favorite addition by the story artists. The scene used to go a little bit longer. He says, my cut, and Grenda says, like, to protect and serve, huh? And he goes, in this part of the forest, you gotta serve yourself. Like, it just keeps going.
Winnie Pray Trot.
That was a dated joke even then. I was, like I said, kind of running on empty at this point.
That's Morse code for SOS, guys.
Nicely done.
No, wait! Stop! Mabel, shh! You'll wake her up. But this is wrong, guys!
Another reference with Celeste Bella Beth the Bell, my sort of note to the artist was, let's make it a combination between The Last Unicorn, My Little Pony, and Lisa Frank colors. So that's why she's got that insane hair.
And what about the eyes?
The eyes, I can't explain.
I love Grenda's heist out.
This is me and Matt Chapman as normal unicorns. We learned that Celeste Bella Beth the Bell is just as awful as the last unicorn in the movie The Last Unicorn.
All our dumb horns can do is glow, point towards the nearest rainbow, and play rave music.
We wanted
Right.
to say point towards the nearest Trapper Keeper, but Trapper Keeper's, I guess,
Oh,
copywritten.
I
Couldn't
love
use
Trapper
that
Keepers.
phrase. Like, you can't
Oh.
say Kleenex or Xerox on certain.
Oh, really?
Oh.
Yeah.
All this time I thought I was a bad person. But you're even worse than I am!
Yeah, Mabel.
Yeah.
So good, so good. Like just like you're able to. There's something about your voice, Kristen, which is very unique. Which is like angry Mabel is still very likable. Like even when you're mad, you're able to do it in a way that like I root for her, I feel for her. I'm glad she punched that unicorn in the face. Like I'm 100% on her side. We actually animated this fight that's coming up, but we had to cut it for time just because the episode was over long. So there is a footage somewhere of Grenda repeatedly punching one of these unicorns.
Taking forever. How long have I been doing this for?
This sequence storyboarded by Sabrina Coutinho. She did a fantastic job of, like, this is a pretty tense scene. Like, this episode whiplashes from, like, a really goofy B story to, like, this entire sequence, which Dipper briefly believes that Ford is evil. And there was a lot of fan speculation when we first meet Ford. Generally, when television shows introduce a, like, new mysterious character late in the game, they turn out to be a villain. Like, 9 out of 10 times they turn out to be a villain, or they're there to get killed off to show the stakes of something. And, like, we could have made Ford evil, but I always felt that would be less interesting, and it would be, like, the point that I was trying to get to is that Stan and Ford had this relationship that fell apart, and it was both of their faults.
Yeah.
And, like, I thought that if I'm Stan, I'd be more frustrated if Ford is actually a good guy.
Yes, right.
Like, it would drive me insane if he's pretty reasonable, pretty rational, better at me than everything. So we flirted with this brief moment where it seems like he's a villain. And we worked really hard to make it so that, like, his eyes are being covered by the reflection of the light, and, like, his dialogue is ambiguous enough here that for a moment you believe what Dipper believes, which is maybe he's possessed by Bill.
Well, you just saw him shaking Bill's hand. What is he supposed to believe?
Exactly.
I thought he was.
So did I.
And I'm really glad that we were able to, again, this episode wasn't one that we had planned on, and I'm glad we were able to get to this because it was able to give a little bit of that connective tissue to his relationship with Bill. Because originally in Tale of Two Stands, there was going to be an end tag where we see that him and Bill knew each other, and we realized, like, this is too big an idea to try to cram in the end of an episode. We need to put it in the middle of one, give it some meat.
Oops.
And at this point in the series, the fandom was enormous. Like, the amount of people paying attention and really caring about this stuff, like, so we were really trying to figure out if we could pay off what we set up at this point.
Yeah. Wait. Were his glasses cracked like that?
Always cracked.
Okay, that's what I thought. All of a sudden I was like, wait, did Dipper crack them?
Dipper, I was a fool to try to hide all this. The reason
I did a movie after.
Oh my God, brag.
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh!
Someone
Let me
did
just
a
tell one
movie.
story. Oh, I grew up on a farm. All this stuff, and I can't tell one story. Yeah, you know.
Tell us about the movie, Jason.
Please.
Anyway, J.K. Simmons was in the movie, and I was
Okay.
super excited to.
What movie was it?
It was called The Meddler. I only had a couple scenes in it.
And
but,
what was it like working with Mr. Simmons?
I didn't actually get to work with him, but I was.
This anecdote is going down the tubes fast.
The point is that I was about as excited to meet him as Dipper would
is?
be to meet Ford.
So it was
another
just that
moment.
scene in
was,
reality.
Yeah, it was basically just that, where I was like, oh, do you know that I'm on this show with you? Do you even know?
But you didn't.
He was very nice.
Oh, you did meet him.
Yeah, we had a whole chat. I just didn't work in a scene with him.
Oh, so you had a chat like at the craft service table or outside his trailer? Or...
Yeah, somewhere. Okay, it's not that great of a story. I just I love this whole sequence.
No, I'm gonna go see The Meddler now.
The thing is he's pretty intimidating because he plays basically if you're gonna typecast him into two categories, it's like the warmest, most trustworthy guy you've ever met and like a serial killer, lunatic, monster jerk, like the worst person in the world. And so you don't know which JK you're gonna get when you meet him. And of course, in reality, he's the sweetest, most professional dude.
Yeah, he's incredible.
Gotta give again Sabrina a shout out for the sequence. This idea that
so cool.
the way that it's mapped in 3D around her mind, in his mind, like I had no idea what it looked like that, and seeing it in the storyboards, it was so much cooler than I imagined. Kristen, did people ever try to hustle spoilers out of you?
No.
Like people, there was nobody, because like Jason, you definitely would get people tweeting you, right? Just being like, what secrets can you tell us, right?
Yeah, but more than that, what would happen is like someone would be like, oh, my son or my daughter is a big fan of Gravity Falls, and then I would freak them out with all of my theories. They'd be like, we just are watching it. We're 6, we're not into the whole. We don't know the whole secret thing. I'd be like, but did you notice that if you look really close in the background?
People would want things from me, like a Dipper hat or a thing, and I don't. And
As
we
though
didn't
you
have
had
any
a
merch.
giant, pile of
I
them.
wanted. That's why I was like, when I asked you to draw me pictures so I could write back to fans.
Oh,
with
yeah.
the little. So I still have some of that stuff.
Oh, and you wrote back to some fans, right?
Oh yeah, there was fan mail that got to me. It hasn't got to me lately. Kind of dried up.
Because I also tried. I first 100 letters I wrote back, and then after that I gave up.
Oh yeah,
because it was too many.
You showed me those boxes in your office.
Yeah,
it was
I
stacked
promised
to the
myself.
ceiling.
I promised myself I'm gonna write to every single one.
Yeah.
And then that proved to be
you
when
see-
I'm writing an episode in 2 days. I'm like, I don't have time to write 1,000 more.
Yeah.
Well, Ringo Starr answered every single.
He's a much better man than I.
But he stopped.
He stopped. Peace and love.
Peace and love.
Peace and love.
Either way, we got some unicorn hair.
So we thought it was actually funnier just to suggest the fight. I got to give a shout out to the director of this episode, Matt Brawley. So much of just the great gags and the great staging and figuring out these pieces. He bared with me in the fact that this episode came in late and we had to just pull it together by the skin of our teeth. And one of the things that was great about Matt as a director is that he'd always be down with just adding jokes at the last second. Like this joke of Stan running by and screaming money. It always makes me laugh. That's something that I think was Matt suggested, and he storyboarded it at the last second. And this also ended up being hugely important for our finale, the idea that the shack is protected by unicorn hair. So it's a good thing that we were able to get this episode in here, and that Mabel is finally able to meet her heroes and discover that they're awful. Don't meet your heroes, kids.
It's true.
Creepy.
Except for if your hero's me. I'm okay in real life.
Unless your hero is Jason or Kristen.
Who are those?
They're sweethearts.
Alex is cool too.
I'm all right.